before, and that he said he started out with so many pennies, if it was 100 pennies or 200 pennies, I don't recall, but his pocket was empty. And he says, that is profit, and that profit, when it's lost, it's gone forever. And that was kind of interesting to recall that. But then he came up, and the foreman of the shop and that was showing him about how we saved money by the drip that we was always getting from the packing glands, and now they weren't packing glands. And he viewed those, and there was no more problems. And he said, I would like, if you got a drawing of that, I would like to take that to all of our other plants and have that done. And so I went and got a drawing out of my desk and that, and laid that down. And I remember the shop foreman taking it and going over to another place and erasing my name off and put his name on. And he was now the designer of that there application. And he was in by the holding tanks, and he was showing Mr. Myers these drawings and everything and telling about it. And I went into the filler room, which was right close by, and I heard him over there talking to him, telling him how he designed it. And I walked over to where Mr. Myers and this foreman was, I won't mention his name, and said, I thought that was a real good idea of mine. It really worked. And turned and walked away and went into the filler room to do what I was usually doing there, was with the pellet detectors and that. And he followed me in a little bit and he said, did you design that? And I told him yes. And he said, that isn't what it says on here. And I looked down and I said, oh, I seen him put his name on mine, or erase mine out and put his name on. And that didn't cause too happy of feelings, I imagine, between I and the shop foreman, but I didn't care because he was stealing something that I'd created. But there was a lot of things that I did in the plant there that increased productivity and that one can talk about. It was just a lot of things. It was really good.
Dad, how did you lose your finger?
How was it?
Show your finger.
That's Sega milk. And that was kind of a stupid thing. In those days I was been pitching ball for the Richmond City, and I was noted to be one of the best pitchers around in the valley. And as I recall, I could throw the ball around 100 to 103 miles an hour or something. I don't recall exactly whether those days, whether they can record the speed properly or not, I don't know, but I know that there was a speed indicator that was brought in there that when the highway patrol had done, and he read it and they announced it over the PA system, speaker, and that how fast it was going. But nevertheless, back to what happened to on my finger, as I was working down in the lower part of the Sega milk, where the lines come out of the sterilizers and they go around to another room and come back to be labeled. As the cans would go by, they would label them that. But during the weekend, and this was on a Monday morning, and during the weekend, another party in the shop had went in and made some changes on the conveyor there, and they tightened the belt up on this here conveyor, and the belt was so tight that it heated up the motor, and I was asked to loosen the motor up and shim it up. We didn't have slotted holes or anything on it, it was just shimmed. And I said, well, can you shut down the line so I can do that? And they said, no, we'll just keep it going, you just shim it. And I remember I loosened up the bolts, and I pried up on a screwdriver with underneath it, put the shim under, and the screwdriver slipped out, and my hand hit into the V-belts. And I tried to turn it off the switch, which was on the wall, which was just a few feet from me, but I couldn't reach it in any way, and my hand was caught in the pulley, and it was like turning and just cutting on my fingers. And finally I turned around somehow and just kicked the switch as hard as I kick it with a foot, and it shut it off. But my finger was gone and damaged. When I come around to get my hand out, and that damaged both both hands somewhat. But that really ruined my day in pitching baseball as far as speeding that goes. I can still control and still win many games, but that done it.
We've got about 5 more minutes we're gonna have to do another tape on you to find out what other places you worked at and talk about them, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to say anything that you wanted to in closing for this tape.
Well, there's a lot of things that's been important in my life. My family, my children, and my wife. She's the jewel that kept me going in life, and she's a sweetheart. I love her very much, and I always have, and I want everybody to know that. Without her, I would be nothing. She's kept me on the straight and narrow, and yeah, she's demanding, but that's what makes it good, and I really love her for what she is.
You know, Dad, growing up, there's 2 things that I always remember about being in the house. And you'll probably think it's silly and stuff, but I actually sing these songs to Randy once in a while. And one of them is "You Are My Sunshine," and the other one is "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." Because I remember growing up, you'd always sing those songs to Mom. You'd always sing,
"You are my sunshine." Yeah.
"My only sunshine."
Yeah. Oh, and I don't remember all the words, and I'd always say,
I do.
"Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day." And it always was. It always was. Oh, sure, there's up and downs, but you don't look at those. You always look at the positive things. And that's what life is. I enjoy the church and all the things that it stands for, and I believe in it, and I have a testimony in it. I would admonish anybody to adhere to the church teachings, because it is true. It really is true.